When my daughter Isa started elementary school, my wife Paisley began to ignore me. "Don't talk to me, it makes me angry." All right, then. That went on for 3 years until one day I moved out on my own. Then I got a call from Paisley. "My name is Maida Reynolds. I'm a 36-year-old office worker employed at a manufacturing company. Paisley, my wife, was a colleague at the company. After dating for about a year, we got married. Soon after, our daughter Isa was born, and I was happy. But when Isa started elementary school, Paisley began to ignore me. Hey, I bought dinner. Want to eat together? Even when I asked, Paisley just gave me a blank look and didn't answer. Paisley, did I do something wrong? If I did something you didn't like, please tell me." Paisley glared at me and unusually opened her mouth. "You've been annoying from the start. Your voice makes me angry, so please don't talk to me." Her gaze was so cold that I was at a loss for words. "All right, then. Hey, Mom, did you hear something just now?" I didn't hear anything, right? I was shocked by that conversation. One day, the two of them were preparing for a trip. "I'm excited. I wonder if Grandma will be happy." "Where are you two going?" But as usual, they completely ignored my question, and even my existence, and left, looking happy. At that moment, I made up my mind. I'll move out. 2 days later, I received a phone call from Paisley, who had apparently returned from the trip. "Why is the house empty?" "Oh, because I moved out. I found a place the next day and moved my stuff out. You and Isa didn't seem to need me." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Because it's been 3 years since you guys started treating me like I don't exist." "So you just move out suddenly?" "Because the house was too big for just me." "What? We're here, aren't we?" Paisley raised her voice in anger. "You guys don't want to live with me, right? Then that house is unnecessary." Paisley couldn't believe that I, who usually apologized right away, had argued against her. "What? Unbelievable. Bring everything back now." "That's impossible. It was a rental in my name, and I didn't renew the lease." "No way. You're kidding." "I put all your stuff in the trunk room, and you can move wherever you want." "Does that mean we're homeless now?" Suddenly, Paisley's voice cracked over the phone. "We can't live like this. Are you telling me and Isa to be out on the streets?" "Why? I thought you said it was no problem without me." Paisley was at a loss for words to my question. "Well, that settles it then." "Wait a minute." It seemed Paisley came back to her senses, screaming over the phone. "What are you thinking? This is way too selfish." "Selfish? Seems like you're the one being selfish here." When I said that in dismay, Paisley yelled even louder. "It's obviously you. What about me and Isa? If Isa said she's better off without me, doesn't that solve everything?" "What? Taking a child's words seriously is the worst." At Paisley's words, I couldn't help but sigh. "You've been ignoring me, and you said you get angry when I talk to you." "I didn't say that." "Yes, you did." "I did not." "Lying now. What are you trying to achieve?" Paisley sounded furiously angry, making a reasonable conversation impossible. "I'm not lying, and it's a fact you've been ignoring me all this time." "I just didn't hear you." "You were talking to Isa just fine, so that excuse doesn't work." I pressed on, and I could hear Paisley clicking her tongue loudly. "Anyway, let's talk this through. You're misunderstanding something." "There's been no misunderstanding. I'm more comfortable being alone than being ignored." "Stop it. There you go again, saying whatever you want. Who's being selfish now?" I fought as anger bubbled up inside me. My coworkers told me something that really woke me up. "I've been trying so hard to get your feelings back, but to you guys, I wasn't the one." "What are you talking about? You're a husband and a father. You have a duty to support me and Isa." Paisley snapped. "Is someone who neglects their household duties and ignores their partner really family to you?" "Are you talking about meals? Our schedules are different. It can't be helped," Paisley said as if it were nothing. Her tone showed no sign of guilt. "And I did say thank you on payday, didn't I?" she added monotonously, without even looking at me. "Is that how you show gratitude?" I snapped back at her high-handedness. Paley unexpectedly let out a small, "Huh. You're not really grateful. You think it's natural for me to provide money, and that's why you acted like that, right?" "What? What are you saying?" "Look, we can't live like this." Paley sounded distressed, as if trying to guilt-trip me. "That's it. We're coming to you. Give us your address." "No way." I couldn't hold back any more and retorted strongly. "What you need isn't me, it's just my income." "Daddy, what's going to happen to us? Why are you being so mean?" Isa chimed in. "The first ones to be mean were you guys," I coldly replied. Paley's voice, which had been soft, like she was stroking a cat, sharpened again. "Is that so? If that's how you're going to talk, then divorce is the only option." "Divorce?" "Yeah, I was actually thinking of doing that too." When I said that, Paley gasped in surprise. "I didn't want to cause any trouble before and just went along with what you wanted, but that was a mistake." "What?" "I'll contact you through my attorney afterward, so don't contact me directly again." "Hey, what do you mean?" "Also, I'll be filing for alimony during the divorce." Paley started yelling over the phone. "What are you saying? You said, 'Let's get divorced' earlier, so it looks like this will be settled quickly." "Are you kidding me? You took away the house without permission from your wife and child, and now you want to take money. Are you a monster?" Paley screamed, but my heart didn't waver for even a millimeter. "If you're going to be like that, I'll be the one asking for alimony, and I'll make sure to get child support too." Paley rattled on fiercely. "All right, we'll talk more later," I simply replied and hung up the phone. A few days later, we met face to face, accompanied by our lawyers. "You seem pretty well," Paley said with a sullen voice, dripping with sarcasm. "Yeah, I've been sleeping better and eating better since you guys have been gone." My response seemed to shock Paley for some reason. "Let's get started, then," Paley's lawyer began, but hearing their claims made my eyes go wide. Harassment towards Paley and Isa. Yes, she is claiming mental anguish. However, she says she would consider restructuring the marriage if the husband is remorseful and changes his attitude. "That's not true," I instinctively interrupted. Paley glared at me with a terrifyingly angry face. "What do you mean, then, Mr. Lawyer? Do you have any evidence of the mental anguish that Paley describes?" "Well, this person has been in the way, preventing me from securing any evidence." Paley dramatically pressed a handkerchief to her face, causing me to chuckle. "What? It's all your fault in the first place." "I'm the bad one, I see. Please proceed, lawyer." "Yes, take a look at this." "What?" "Here is the evidence of the mental anguish that your husband has caused," the lawyer said, showing footage of Paley and Isa, ignoring me when I spoke to them. Paley's face turned red very quickly. "Hey, you set up a camera without my permission. This is invalid." Paley stood up and slammed the table. "No, it's valid," the lawyer calmly countered. Paley bit her lip in frustration. The footage wasn't just one or two instances. With dates included, it clearly showed this was a regular occurrence. "This can be edited with image manipulation." Paley protested. "No, we've already checked." That there was no alteration whatsoever, the lawyer confirmed. Paley, unable to come up with an excuse, began shaking. If this is the daily norm, then the breakdown of marital life due to malicious behavior is sufficiently recognized. Paley's lawyer looked at her, turning pale. "Ma'am, this is not what we talked about." "What?" Paley panicked. "I'm sorry, but I must decline this case." "Wait just a minute. Are you trying to smear mud on Dad's face?" Paley started to panic. "You're getting paid by Dad, so you should make sure I win. Are you even a lawyer?" "What is impossible is impossible." The lawyer's response made Paley's face flush with anger. "So we'll proceed as per our request. correct?" The lawyer asked. Paley sulked, not responding. "Ignored here too, but unlike me, the lawyer won't stop because of that." Paley sat down, glaring at me furiously again. "Please sign here regarding the alimony." "I have to pay the alimony?" I looked up, confused. Paley seriously replied, "Because I'm a woman, Mom." Her lawyer hurried to explain. "What? No way. Alimony is a benefit for frail women, right?" "That's not correct," denied everyone around. Paley was explained the situation and turned pale. "And no, I can't pay that. Not that you can't. You have to." "Then I won't divorce," Paley screamed, tearing the divorce papers in half. "Paley, if we don't get divorced, then there's no need for alimony, right? I want a divorce. I no longer feel like continuing with you." "Don't be selfish. What about Isa? You want to take her father away." "No, her father isn't me," I said, and Paley looked bewildered. "What? Too bad. I've already done a DNA test." At my words, Paley covered her mouth with her hand. "And here's the test result." The result must be wrong." Paley stammered. "I've had another test done to be sure." Paley shook her head at my words. "But we have the same blood type," she muttered. "Because at the wedding, there was a guy who looked surprisingly like Keela," I answered, and Paley held her head. "If Isa had been a daughter who loved and trusted me, I might have pretended not to know." "I'm sorry. It was just a one-time mistake," Paley pleaded. "It doesn't matter." I presented the divorce papers again. "Here, sign this." Paley slowly looked up, appealing to me with her eyes. "Oh, I'm also canceling the family card," I added. Paley looked at me in disbelief. "Seriously? You're not family anymore." Seemingly resigned, Paley filled out the divorce papers and then started to cry. Afterward, having the lawyers as witnesses, I submitted the divorce papers to the city hall and became a free man. For a while, I enjoyed my single life, but one day I unexpectedly ran into my ex-wife and ex-daughter-in-law. They hadn't mentioned the details to avoid worrying me unnecessarily. "Unlike you, your mom is very kind. She loves Isa as her granddaughter," Paley said. "I'll tell her the real story next time." I tried to shake them off, but they firmly grabbed my clothes and wouldn't let go. "Wait, where are you going?" "This is where you live, right?" Paley said. "I have no intention of letting strangers like you into my home." "Daddy, I'm hungry," Isa's whining voice sent shivers down my spine. Honestly, this was the first time I had been talked to like this. "Daddy?" I repeated, creeped out. "How can you say that to your cute daughter?" Paley raised her voice, but creepy was creepy. However, my feelings seemed incomprehensible to them. "Let's go have something to eat and talk," Paley coaxed, peering into my face. Thinking it was better than letting them into my home, I headed to a nearby diner with them. "Hey, can I eat this?" Isa asked. "Yeah, do whatever you want," I responded. "Not hungry." "Food doesn't taste good when I have to look at your faces while eating," I said, the taste disorder clearly evident. Yet Paley looked at me with the same smile she had when we were dating. "Feeling better?" she asked. "What?" "It's just a fight, and you're overreacting with the divorce." I couldn't understand what she was saying and involuntarily looked back at Paley. "Seriously," she added, "a beautiful wife and a cute daughter. Don't you want to take back that kind of family life? What I also want is to live with Daddy." Isa stopped eating and looked up at me with puppy eyes. "You're not my daughter, though." "Why would you say that?" "Daddy is Daddy," she said, stunning me. Isa puffed out her cheeks. "That's right. You're a cute daughter. You forgot we're divorced. So that was just a moment of confusion, right? Let's go back to being a family again." "What?" I was so baffled by the lack of logic in her words that I almost got confused. "See, I'll let bygones be bygones. Daddy, please." Paley grabbed my hand, and I shuddered. Now I understood why Paley had sat down next to me. It was to make sure I couldn't escape. No. Do you want to be reported to the police again? Actually, after the divorce was finalized, I had been talking to the police due to Paley's repeated harassment. I told you, if you ambush or show up and invade again, a warning won't be enough. Why would you say something so harsh to your wife? Paley leaned against me. That's because we're divorced. Let's become a family again. Remarriage is easy, you know. Paley's smile looked like a witch's grin to me. I can live with Daddy again. Yay! Whether Isa understood or not, she seemed genuinely happy. Paley, I have no intention of rebuilding a life with a woman who keeps cheating. What do you want? An increase in alimony? What are you talking about? I never cheated. That's when I silently showed her the data on my smartphone. This is Ella's dad, your ex, right? It showed the two of them walking arm in arm towards an entertainment district. Paley's face turned pale instantly. What is this? When I found out about Isa, I investigated you too. Turns out you've been two-timing me all along. That's not true. And you've been calling men over to the house when I'm not around. What kind of nerve do you have? I showed her another photo, making her face even paler. You know you can claim for damages due to infidelity within 3 years of finding out. I was kind enough not to pursue this. Too bad. Listen to me, it's not like that. Apparently, Paley thought she hadn't been caught. Her pitiful, illogical excuses only made me feel colder. Daddy, don't bully Mommy. I'm not, and he's your real dad. Daddy, be happy you can be with your real parents now. At that, Ella's face turned gloomy. I like the other daddy. I don't like this one. Isa started to cry quietly, and as I patiently listened, I was dumbfounded. You're upset because you couldn't get alimony from me, so your affair partner is giving you the cold shoulder. Paley clung to me with a pale face. Please, at least for this child. I have no obligation to care for a child that's not biologically mine. Daddy, I'm not your dad. At my words, Isa looked hurt. That's cruel. How could you say such a thing to a child? It's all your fault. When I angrily retorted to her unreasonable claim, she suddenly covered her face and started crying. Please help me. What? Talk to your parents about that. I can't. Dad kicked me out. Your father always worried about what others think. If you know that, then help me. Paley shouted, but I ignored her and sipped my cold coffee. Well, it's getting late. As I glanced at the clock and muttered to myself, Paley looked at me in disbelief. You're going to ignore me after I begged you like this. Ignoring her, I stood up. Do you finally understand how I feel? What you two did to me for 3 years. Both were speechless. Then next time you approach me, I'll really call the police. I picked up the check and headed to the cashier. Behind me, I could hear the two crying, but it felt deserved. After that, Paley apparently lived in poverty while supporting her affair partner. Isa, mistreated by her, sought help from her former grandparents, but was rejected and became reclusive. I had given up on marriage and was focusing on my work, but recently a junior I mentored confessed to me